Hello, science enthusiasts. Today we are diving into a fascinating paper titled Tap, Scan, Exploit the Hidden Vulnerabilities of Everyday QR Codes.
Oh, QR codes. They're absolutely everywhere now, aren't they? Payments, menus, even public transport. But exploit and vulnerabilities? That sounds a bit concerning.
Exactly. The researchers Ashish Kumar and team from IISR Bhopal explored how real world conditions affect QR code scannability. It's not about malicious exploits, but about robustness.
Ah, so it's about when your phone just can't read a QR code, even if it looks fine. Like, what makes them fail in daily life?
Precisely. Despite their built in error correction, like Reed Solomon codes, real world distortions can significantly impact their reliability. Think smudges, poor lighting, or even a shaky hand.
Read Solomon codes, that's a fancy term. So they have some resilience built in. But it's not enough for our messy world, huh?
Not always, it seems. The paper looked at 18 distinct image corruption types, categorizing them into five major real world scenarios. That's quite comprehensive.
Wow. Five categories. What kind of real world scenarios are we talking about? Like, what did they simulate?
Well, they covered environmental effects like snow or fog, motion and focus issues such as blur, printing and display imperfections, lighting variations, and physical damage like scratches.
That makes so much sense. I've definitely struggled with a QR code in bad light or on a smudged screen. Did they just test the whole QR code or specific parts?
Great question. They did both. They studied global corruptions affecting the whole code and local corruptions targeting specific regions like the white area, black area, or the all important finder patterns.
The finder patterns, those three big squares, right? I always thought they were crucial. So, did they find some areas were more vulnerable than others?
Absolutely, we'll get to that. But first, they also looked at aesthetic QR codes. You know, the ones with logos or fancy designs embedded?
Oh, those. They look cool for branding. But I always wondered if they were harder to scan. Did they perform worse under stress?
They definitely did, but more on that later. The team tested various scanners too, commercial ones like Google Lens and TCAPS, and open source ones like OpenCV and QReader.
So, a real mix of what people actually use. What were some of the big takeaways about how these different scanners performed?
Interestingly, QReader performed exceptionally well among all scanners, especially with challenging QR codes. It uses AI, which helps.
That's good to know. So, a dedicated AI powered scanner is better. What about Google Lens, which many of us use daily?
Google Lens, being a general visual recognition tool, was more vulnerable to physical damage and specific distortions like zoom blur and speckle noise. It's not QR specific, you see.
That makes sense. It's a jack of all trades. Now, coming back to aesthetic QR codes. Were my suspicions right? Are they less robust?
You were spot on. None of the commercial scanners could decode corrupted aesthetic QR codes. Even QReader struggled, though it was the best among them.
Wow. So, those pretty QR codes are really fragile in the real world. What about those local corruptions? Which parts were the weakest links?
The finder regions were the most sensitive. If those three big squares were corrupted, scanners like QReader and PISBA often failed, especially with environmental effects.
That's a critical insight. So, protecting those finder patterns is key. Did the size of the QR code also play a role in its robustness?
Yes, it did. Smaller QR codes like 300 x 0 pixels were more vulnerable to lighting related distortions in their finder regions. Larger ones showed greater resilience.
So, for important applications, maybe bigger is better, especially for outdoor use. Did they suggest any ways to fix these issues?
They did a preliminary study on using generative networks like GANs to mitigate corruption. It showed some promise, especially when trained on diverse corruption types.
That's a hopeful sign for the future. This research really highlights how crucial it is to design robust QR systems, especially with how much we rely on them for payments and information.
Absolutely. Understanding these vulnerabilities is the first step towards more secure and reliable digital interactions. It's about making our everyday tech work no matter what.
Indeed, from payments to public services, robust QR codes are essential for trust and accessibility. This paper certainly gives us a lot to think about for future designs.